From Detroit, Michigan, the smallest professional bowler in the business, George Howard. The big, smiling Irishman from St. Louis, Missouri, Patrick Patterson. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Championship Bowling here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at the Major League Bowling Lanes. This is Fred Wolf. We have two more of our field of 24. They're making their second appearance. It's still Dave Sutar from Detroit with his six-game total of 1267. Johnny King from Chicago with 1242. We're going in with George Howard, who has 635, and Pat Patterson with an even 600. All competition is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. Over $60,000 in prizes, $10,000 for the perfect score. It should be an interesting match. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the loser. We'll be ready for the first game in just a moment. Ready for the first game of three. Pat Patterson won the toss. He elected to start on the right side. All games starting on the left. It puts George Howard from Detroit on the left, first frame, first game. Howard needs 633 to take the lead. Throws, little tight, and carried the 4-7. Well, it looked like a 4-pin. Could be that the sliver is on his game this week. He looks very sharp in practice sessions through one strike after the other. We look at Big Pat Patterson from St. Louis. Here's the turn, and here it comes. He's there, leaves the 10-pin. This is actually a rematch. These two boys met on Championship Bowling in the Northbrook, Illinois series. One of the real fine matches of that series when George Howard beat Patterson 705 to 672. However, Patterson was the highest qualifier and made the finals to meet Bobby Kowalik. He totaled 14-19 for the 6 games. Howard, incidentally, was third with 1365. Kowalik was second with 1418. So for the little fella from Detroit, quite an assignment against the big guy from St. Louis. Patterson weighing just about 200 pounds. Howard, 112 pounds. We're in the second frame. Big reach. Here it comes. There it is. Patterson with his strike, and George Howard now with the first assignment. Get the double, get it quickly. He has the first strike. We're in the second frame. Howard lost to Andy Marsic in his first match. Oh, he didn't get there with that one. Left the 5-pin. Marsic had 661. Howard, 635. Marsic throwing 242 at Howard in the final game to pull it out. Patterson beat Ray Shannon by 1 pin, 600 to 599. At the 5, the cover that's bare. Howard moves to the left. Born in Bridgeport, Alabama in 1930. Moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan in 46, to Detroit in 56, where he really started quite a career. Done very well on the 1962 PBA Tour. In the third. There it is. Patterson moving in on the right. Chance for the first double. Howard was unable to get his. Now we've had 3 strikes on the left side, lane 27. Looking for our first strike on 28. Too high. Patterson is wide open. The 4, 6, 9, 10. They don't come much tougher than this. So Pat will no doubt shoot at the 5, 9, or the 6, 9, 10, hoping for some sort of a miracle. Let's see if it happens. Well, he's open, and that puts the youngster from Detroit out in front at the end of 3. He is on a strike and has a chance to pick up an extra 10 pins if he can get the double as Patterson moves to the left. Each bowler bowls 2 complete frames. The only exception, the first frame, that bowled on the left side. That bowler takes his seat, then his opponent goes from right to left. The competition goes that way throughout the entire game. So Patterson with another strike on the left. And here is George Howard, a little short in the second frame. In workouts, Howard has been using 2 different angles. He's playing it outside here to start. However, he said if he didn't do anything out there, he was going to move about 18 boards to the left. He'll never get there. He has the bucket again, the 2, 4, 5, 8. That, of course, couldn't be blamed entirely on the lane. Howard was just out of step. The point is, as the boys explained to you, you're working so hard to get in the ball track here on the right side that a fella doesn't think of a lot of the normal things that he does. Look out. He's got it on the outside. You're concentrating so much on your spot. You're concentrating on your speed. You don't want to throw it out too far. You know it won't come back. So the result is you are practically out to the line when you may find your timing to be off, your footwork throwing you out there too fast, and of course then the boys have to pull, and then they're on the nose. We're in the 5th. Howard out in front. The margin 12 pins. Left side, a 10 pin this time. Now Howard can come back to the right on a spare, and he'll probably play it entirely different. There's a lot of difference working on a spare than when working on a string or even a single strike. The desire to get the double sometimes is so great that it will make the bowler force his ball, get too careful, and the result, of course, is not conducive to getting the strike that you need. We're reaching the end of 5 in the first game of 3. Pat Patterson from St. Louis, George Howard from Detroit, from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is championship bowling, and Mr. Patterson leaves another 10 pin. Number 10. We use brand new AMF tournament grade pins. They're not easy to knock down. The lanes are reconditioned each week for each match. The lanes have been checked out to American Bowling Congress specifications. All competition sanctioned by the ABC. So at the end of 5, Howard is 79 spare, Patterson is 68 spare. We're in the 6th, first game. Patterson on the left. Big turn. There it is. He's got it. Well, it's getting to be that if a fellow can get a strike on the right side, he has himself a triple. Patterson has been left 3 times, and he has 3 strikes. We're in the 6th. Still playing it off the second diamond. Good turn this time, and he carries it down. Howard playing the second diamond here. He went right over at that time and gave it the lift that he did not give it in the 2nd and the 4th when he was short both times. Now he moves left, his favorite side. Looking for our first double of the match. This is Howard's 3rd opportunity. Patterson will come up for his 3rd. A double, it's got to hurry. There you are, the washout, the 1, 2, 4. We just mentioned that being on the strike makes a difference. And George did not throw that one like he threw in the 1st, 3rd, and in the 6th. One, 2, 4, 10. Put the ball between the 1 and the 2, going to the left side of the head pin. Hurry up. Right around it. A perfect cover, but the result, an open frame. That leave has never been made yet here on Championship Bowling this year. We've had it up there a half a dozen times, but Howard gave it a good try. So Patterson with a double can take the lead for the first time. Big backswing, sets one. There it is, look at that. Well, a slight smile from the big Irishman. I don't think Pat was too sure of that one, but certainly the result was just beautiful. All 10 pins hanging in midair as he just tears them apart. He moves to the left. He hasn't missed this side, trying for the triple. He now has a 10-pin margin. This would make it 20. And he's there. He's there. No doubt about that one. So Patterson, as we mentioned, got a strike on the right. It was a triple. It is a triple. Can make a 4-timer out of that. It's still Dave Sutar with 1267. Johnny King with 1242. King's total, of course, very much in jeopardy here this week. Both these fellas should top that if they get any kicking around here. Look out. Well, Howard turned that one. And he's wide open. The 4-6-7. George will tell you that Winston-Salem is a lucky town for him. He finished second in the 1962 Winston-Salem Open. He also was second in the Canadian Open on the 62 tour. Third in the World's Invitational. There it is. Howard hasn't won too many big events, but he's certainly been up there near the top in many of them. He did win the Las Vegas Open on the PBA Tour in 1961. And he was on top as a member of the Detroit Thunderbirds, the world's champions of the National Bowling League in 1962. He averaged 217 for the entire season. Quite a competitor for a little guy. We're in the 9th. Well, try that one. That's the same lead that Patterson had in the 3rd frame. And Pat had it on the right side. Here it is on the left side. The 6, 9, 10 on one corner with a 4-pin, which makes it rather difficult to even think about converting it. So Howard is open again. His 2nd open frame, won the washout, and the very difficult or practically impossible 4, 6, 9, 10. 2 opens coming on his last 2 turns on the lane. We're ready into the 9th. Patterson is on 3. Never get there, and we have another washout. 1, 2, 10. So Patterson with a chance to really get out in front. A strike there, and moving to the left where he has all strikes. Patterson could have gone all the way for 233. But here we have another washout to 1, 2, 10. Let's see what Patterson can do with it. Howard went right around his. Hey, doesn't get enough angle there. The head pin too full, and the 10-pin stands, and the big fella from St. Louis giving Howard a chance. The margin is 28 pins. We're at the end of 9. Patterson has had 2 opens. Howard has had 3. Patterson with a triple. Howard still looking for his first double. 8-10. Well, seemed like Patterson had a little too much smoke on that one. Boy, that got down there in a hurry. So Howard, in his last 2 frames out on the lanes, had 2 opens, the 4, 6, 7, and the 4, 6, 9, 10. 2 practically impossible conversions. Patterson, on his 2 turns, had the washout in the 9th, which he missed, and then the 8-10 in the 10th. So Howard with a double can be within 7 pins of Big Pat Patterson. And I don't think Georgie would have given much for his chances here after his 145 in the ninth. Too high. What do you know? Well, I don't know if Georgie is thanking the folks here in Winston-Salem as he flexed that big muscle of his. 112 pounds. If he's got a pound of muscle there in that arm, that's about it. Let's see if he can get the double. Oh, he's moved to the extreme inside. Here's an experimental shot. And he's got it. Well, you can expect Howard to stay right there. We mentioned earlier, he did mention to us that he had two angles. He was going to play it more to the outside, the second diamond, or if he couldn't do anything there, he was going to move extreme inside. Look at here, left to the third diamond. And he leaves the 10. Well, he got out of there with 29 pins. He's within 8 pins of his opponent. For Howard, 174. For Patterson, 182. This looks like a great match. Don't go away. This is Fred Wolf, Championship Bowling, and our hosts now with a friendly message, I'm sure. Here are the scores for the first game. Pat Patterson, the winner, with 182. For George Howard, 174. The boys will have to turn on the steam a little bit here, or Dave Sutar is going to stay right there with that 1267, and Johnny King with the 1242. Winston-Salem, you all going to give a little encouragement here. Come on, let's go. Pat Patterson from St. Louis, a lead of 8 pins. Starting the second game. Patterson has had a lot of success here on the left side. Ready? Goes. No 8-10 that time. That left the 8-10 in the 10th frame after a washout in the 9th when he was working on a triple. Howard getting in trouble with 2 wide open frames in the 8th to 9th. Starts the second game on the right side to the extreme inside. Left of the third diamond. In fact, almost over the fourth diamond. Too high, and he caved another one in. Boy, he's got a new angle. Yes, sir. Howard has found the secret. He's getting strikes without a shotgun here. Going to have to get the sheriff after him. Old Patterson will want to put Howard in jail for stealing. Let's see what he can do with it. Make it count, George. That's it. Well, you folks that follow the spots, of course, and throw to the diamonds, as they're referred to, you no doubt hear hearsay instructors tell you the second diamond or halfway between the second and third or outside of the second. Here's a fella throwing to the fourth diamond from the right. There it is. Patterson with 2. That strike in the first frame that Howard got, his ball went right over the fourth diamond. Now that's left of center all the way to the splice. Both boys with 2 are in the third. A little different than the first game. Howard waited till the 10th frame to get a double, one of which he caved in. Patterson caught his double in the 6th, 7th, made it a triple. And there's the 8-10 again for the big fella. His second 8-10. His second 8-10 on the left side. Hank Lauman from Los Angeles, still with us here in Winston-Salem, getting a big laugh out of that one. 8-10, of course, or the solid 5, as they call it, always manages a little raspberry from friends. Howard now in the third. George has a chance to take the lead. On 2, deep inside, over the fourth diamond. Sets that thing high again, and he almost got away with another one. Well, you got robbed, George. My golly, you got robbed. He had a pin coming out of the pin deck. Those Angels are flying high this week in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. At the 4-pin, George better hurry. He's got it. You know, many bowling establishments around the country serve more than one purpose. For instance, maybe your local bowling center has a room which is used for civic meetings. Another has a room for bridge playing, restaurants, nurseries. Why not discover for yourself all the comforts and conveniences now provided at your nearby bowling center? Georgie shaking his head as he let that one go. The 4-6, right through the middle. Way out of timing. George was to that line before the ball, and he just gave it a fast jerk at the last moment, hoping it might go somewhere favorable. It went right through the middle. He'll be open. Patterson had the 8-10 on the left, now moves right. Both boys started with 2. This game practically even to the pin. Patterson with one advantage. If he can strike here, he can turn it into a double. Patterson's moved inside now. He hit the nose, and he's wide open. The 6-7-10. Well, somebody moved the track. Now, Howard needed 633. He had 635 in his first out. He opened with 174. Here, nice try. Patterson just went by the 6 bit. Well, you can't come any closer than a Claude Pat Patterson. This fella loves to play golf. Down there in Winston-Salem at the Patterson ready. I'll tell you a story I got for you. Ready? Come on, Pat. That's it. There's the strike. Had a chance to play with Patterson a couple of times here in Winston-Salem at the Tanglewood Golf Club. And one of our cameramen, Al Stacy, who plays occasionally, showed us how to put the ball in the hole in one shot. It's easy. On the nose again, 6-10. Well, these boys got nose-itis here this week. The sad part of a hole-in-one is when it's made by your opponent. Sometimes it's not even nice to watch. It's nice to watch, really. Look out. Look out. He's got it. Howard with a spare at the end of 5. Howard 76 spare, Patterson to 64 strike. In the 6th, Howard reaches, throws, too high again. Wide open, 4-7-10. Well, we've seen them all. I don't think there's any left. Well, we haven't seen a 5-7. We haven't seen the baby split. But I think we've had the rest of them. 8-10, 6-7-10, 4-7-10, 4-6-9-10. The washout. I haven't had the big 4, I guess. He'll never get there. Howard is open in the 6th. After starting with 2, Howard on his favorite side has been wide open twice, hitting the nose, dead center. It's the fact that the boys worked so hard on the right side that they lose the left. And Patterson was in the middle, almost wide open. He was on a big strike, a chance to get out in front. This game will be practically even to the pin, so the margin stays under 10. There's the 6. These boys have been making some big moves. Patterson, who started playing 28 slightly outside, has also moved to the inside. In practice sessions, these boys actually worked 2 lines. They weren't sure of either one of them, but they felt that if they weren't going one way, they'd immediately make the switch. On the left side, they play much alike. There's a 4-7 out of there, and Patterson with a strike. So we're at the end of 7. Patterson is 104 with a strike. George Howard moves in the 7th. George is working on an open frame. Howard moves in the 7th. The margin, 2 pins here in the second game. He throws it. He's in there, and there we have it. Well, it can be done, and that's about the first real good solid strike we have seen Howard play, and he's back out to the outside again, playing the second diamond, or thereabouts. We move into the 8th. Patterson leading here in the second game by 2 pins. He won the first game by 8. The margin is only 10. Howard now with a chance to put Patterson on the spot. He's on the strike. Patterson is on the strike. We're in the 8th. The reach, the throw, it'll never get there. A 1-2 in the 8th. Some of George's closer friends call him Peanuts. Some call him the Sliver. His name is George Harton Howard from Bridgeport, Alabama. Went to school in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Was a former Kalamazoo bantamweight champion in 1950. Used to be quite a golden glover, this kid. Very fast. But over the years, he hasn't put on 1 pound of weight. He weighs 112, ringing wet. Here's Patterson in the 8th, on the strike. Still, oh, he dropped one. He may get there. He got there, and look at that. Well, Pat making motions like he bounced that one. He dropped it behind the foul line, but there was still enough on it, and boy, he really tore them apart for the big double to give him a 20-pin lead. We go into the 9th. And Patterson on the strike. Howard on the spare. Pat Patterson, captain of the 1962 American Bowling Congress Tournament Classic Team Champions, won in Des Moines, Iowa. There it is. No 8-10 that time. So Patterson with 2 as Howard moves in the 9th. Pat took a strike with him on his 2 turns on the lanes, followed with 2 more, so he sits on a turkey with a chance for 224. He needs 486 to top Dave Sutar of Detroit. Howard throws. Little high. Kicks the 4 out of there. So Georgie has 2 strikes here on the right, but he's lost the left side. 2 opens this game. 3 opens the last game. He had them all in succession. He's going along very well. With 99 in the 5th, he had a strike going in the 6th, and then 3 straight opens, a double in the 10th for 174. Started this game with 2. Would like to go all the way. Has missed the head pin again, the 1, 2, 4 in the 7, and I believe this is the first time we've looked at this one in the entire series here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Around Michigan, we call this the clothesline. In the East, they call it the fence posts. Could be called a picket fence. The ball goes right down the line. And he kicked the 2-pin into the 4, and the 4 picked up the 7. You can really hang the 7 up there sometimes on that hit. So for the count, Howard will have 182. George carried a 224 average for 12 games on championship bowling going into this series. With 635, his first out, and he's going to have to go this out. That average is going to drop a bit. Georgie counts 9 for 181. And here's Pat Patterson. Rolled a 299 game on television in Cleveland. He left the 5-pin. Said it was quite embarrassing. 299 on television isn't bad. Big turn. Here it comes. There it is. So Patterson now begins to line them out, and Pat wants to get even with Georgie. Howard beat Patterson in the Northbrook, Illinois series, 705 to 672. It won't take that much to win here in Winston-Salem. Patterson on the right side. This fella's rolled 10 sanctioned perfect scores, 10 of them. Rolled his first one on October 31st, 1947. Once more. Boy, look at him grind them out. Patterson had an 8-10 and a 6-7-10 in succession in this game in the 3rd and 4th frame. He can still get 9 strikes for 224. never get there this trip. Missed the head pin, the 1-2-8. So Pat checks it in here with 2:21 to take a commanding lead. Howard, 181. One more game here on Championship Bowling from the Major League Lanes in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is Fred Wolf. We're going to be right back now after our friends and hosts have their message. Here are the scores for the first two games. George Howard, 174 and 181 for a total of 355. For Pat Patterson, 182, 221, the total 403. Patterson out in front, the margin 48 pins. Ready for the third and final game. Let's give him a little more encouragement here. Come on. George Howard of Detroit, the sliver, trailing by 48 pins. Pat Patterson out in front. The start of the third game. Howard ready, throws. That will get there. There it is. So the little fella with a strike in the first frame as big Pat Patterson moves in now for the kill. A lead of 48 pins. He can be careful. But, of course, he's thinking of the big game. Pat needs 265 to take the lead. Dave Sutar, still the big man, with a six-game total of 1267. Patterson in the first, too tight. 4-7, breaks it up. Both these boys throw the fingertip variety, wide span. Both members of the AMF staff. Here's a fella that has been captain of the National Match Game Team Champions, 6 years. Captain of one of the greatest teams ever put together. There's the cover, the 4-7. They set a new record in Des Moines, Iowa in the ABC tournament in 1962 in the Classic Team Division. They shot 61-48 for the 6 games. He was runner-up to Bobby Kowalik on Championship Bowling in the Northbrook, Illinois series. 2 games in that series, Patterson started with 10 strikes in a row. Just like that. So for Howard, there's only one way to go. He's on the strike, a chance to cut the margin 10 pins, and then he'll have to get a string a mile long. Howard only needed 633, but he started with 174. Second game, 181. But there's room for the big one. And too high. Look out, 4 pin. Pretty good hit. Just a wee bit tight. Other bowlers in the field that have finished their 6 games, in addition to Sutar and King, we have Ron Winger from Los Angeles, the youngster who finished with 678. He has 1237. Last week, we hope you had a chance to see Fred Lenning, who put together 685. That gave Lenning 1237. Hank Lauman of Los Angeles has 1220. Carmen Salvino of Dallas, Texas, and Chicago has 1200. They're the only boys that are over the 200 average mark. Next week, it'll be the great Dick Weber from St. Louis against Vern Downing of Fresno, California. 2 weeks, it'll be Lubansky and Bourdain. Don't miss that one. Howard in the third. 8 pin. Good hit again. Could have been 3. Lubansky going in with 668. Bourdain with 636. Then we'll find Jimmy Schroeder against Lou Campy. And the big match featuring 2 West Coast stars, Andy Marsich from Los Angeles, Johnny Gunther from Seattle, Washington. There's the cover. And they're all waiting for this one. Marsich goes in with 661, Gunther with 683. Then the final week before the finals, Faragelli with 634, Big Bill Bonetta with 660. So Dave Sutar's 1267 could very well be kicked around before we get much farther. Here it is, number 2. So Patterson back with a double, and Big Pat still has a chance for 290. And don't snicker. If you can do it with a pencil, you can do it with a bowling ball. Remember that. Patterson needs 265 to take the lead. 240 to move into second position to top Johnny King's 12:42. On 2, throws, gotta hurry. He gets there, all but the 10. Almost another 8-10. Pat has had 2 8-10s. Had an 8-10 in the 10th frame of the first game and an 8-10 in the third frame on a double in the second game. Cross lane at the 10 pin. The margin now around 58 pins. Patterson out in front, 7 frames to go. You probably noticed these very colorful uniforms these boys are wearing. They look white, but actually they are bright yellow matching shirts and slacks by King Louis. George Howard in the 4th. Nice and easy. That's all there is to it. Well, in case you tuned in late, that's where Howard started on the right side, playing from the outside angle, more or less second diamond. Late in the first game, he moved to the extreme inside and actually was throwing his ball over the 4th diamond from the right. He got a double there, too, but then he went back to the outside. He said by playing one that way, he couldn't play the other one. That'll never get there. Howard has missed the head pin over there 3 times now. Had the clothesline in the 10th frame on a strike. This time he goes over there on a strike and leaves the 1-2-4 with the 7 pin out. High 3 games rolled last week by Fred Lenning from Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. 6-8-5, a great performance. Johnny Gunther with 683. Dave Sutar with 680. Ron Winger with 678. High single game is 267, 6-7, 267 by Johnny Gunther. We're in the 5th, 3rd game. He dropped it on the Brooklyn and he carried. Well. The smiling Irishman finally smiled on that one. So at the end of 5, Howard is 79 spare, Patterson is 89 strike. For the double in the 6th. It's there, and he kicked the 8 out. Pat making eyes. Thought he might have another 8-10. He might be thinking of a golf game down Winston-Salem way. He loves to hit that golf ball. And he can hit it a mile, by the way. Here's Howard. We're in the 6th. Georgie's got to get that long string of strikes. Here it comes. There it is. So Howard with a strike. Let's strike him out. Add 150 to that 99. You'll have 249. That would force Patterson to get 202. And Pat has it if he can fill the frames. No chance for Howard to get into the 2nd spot. He needed 253. There's still a chance for Patterson. Oh, look at here. That's just to prove that he can do it. He hasn't been in that pocket over there in some time. Patterson now coming in on the right side. Howard still has a chance to pull this match out if Pat makes any mistakes. He's on the double. We're in the 7th. There's a good turn. There's no doubt about that. If you pay much attention, when you see these boys just at the point of release, when they crack it at the foul line, if you see that they get out of it good and get it over the line, if they've hit their spot with it, believe me, it'll be in the pocket. So Patterson with a triple and a double. It all started with a Brooklyn. We're in the 8th. Hurry, hurry. One more. Look at here. Now, the question might be asked, where were these two fellas the first game? Where was Howard the second game? They don't look the same, do they? We're in the 8th. And the little guy from Detroit, former pin boy, winds one up. Here it comes. 10 pin, not enough. Howard has rolled 9 perfect scores, 4 of them sanctioned. He's picked up quite a few titles around Detroit and Michigan. He won the Michigan State doubles title in '58 with Billy Golubievsky. He won the Detroit City doubles in '59 with Al Savas. There's the 10-pin. And in 1962, won the Michigan State All-Events title. We go into the 9th frame, and Pat Patterson has this match just about locked up. That about evens it up. Howard beat Patterson on championship bowling in the Northbrook, Illinois series. And Patterson still in contention to move into the second spot, now occupied by Johnny King with 12:42. Oh, 4-5. Didn't wind it up enough, George. Howard likes to play an occasional round of golf. He's also a coin collector. He and Billy Golubievsky, being teammates, are both coin collectors. And traveling around the country, they're always looking for them. There you are. Nice shot. So Howard with a conversion in the 9th, a chance for 216. Big Pat Patterson kicking around 269, which would be the highest single game rolled thus far. He had the 2 highest single games in the Northbrook, Illinois series, 289 and 287. Look out, too high. 310. 403. He needs 240 to top Johnny King. He had 230 right there. He needed one more strike to beat King. Now he needs this spare, the 310, and a double in the 10th. He's got the spare. Nice shot. So Patterson needs 2 strikes. 2 strikes for 247, which would give him 650. He rolled 600 in his first out when he defeated Ray Shannon. Could move into the second spot. It'll still be Dave Sutar of Detroit on top. The first one. There it is. .247 will give Patterson 650. And that'll be enough to top Johnny King. It means this strike. Here it comes. He's got it. So Patterson now has moved into the number 2 spot. The top 2 bowlers qualify for the finals. However, we have some tough cookies still to come up. Next week, Dick Weber meets Vern Downing. Then it's Lubanski and Bourdais. Campy and Schroeder. Marsich and Gunther. Faragelli meets Bonetta. The top 2 men for 6 games meet in the $15,000 added finals. There it is, 4-pin. .649. Patterson with a 246 finish. 600 his first out, a total of 1249. He tops Johnny King by 7 pins. George Howard in the 10th. There it is. A little late. Howard rolling a pretty good game this trip. He missed a headpin once, left a 4-5 split in the 9th, which he covered. Started with a strike, then he had a 4-pin, an 8-pin. Left a 10-pin in the 8th on a double. Chance for 216. 649 for Pat Patterson after a 182 start. The 10-pin again. Ten-pin, Howard covers. So in the 3rd and final game, Howard 206, Patterson 246. We'll give you the totals. And we have a young lady I'm sure you'll want to meet again this week on Championship Bowling. This is Fred Wolf, and we're in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I don't know where you are right now, but I bet your friend and host has a word for you. Here are the final results for George Howard: 174, 181, a 206 finish for a total of 561. For Pat Patterson, 182, 221, the big finish, 246, the total 649, and Pat Patterson now has moved into the second position, his total 1249. Let's give them both a nice hand. George? Georgie, my boy?
Ready?
Lose any weight this week?
No, not this one. No weight, but I lost a little money here.
Lost a little money. There's your $500. Put that away.
Thank
Two
you,
losses
Fred.
here in Winston-Salem.
Yeah,
I thought this was your lucky town.
I played a little bad here on this match here. I was rushing or fouling quite a bit, Fred. Made too many mistakes.
What was your theory here of moving way to the inside on lane?
Well,
28?
in practice, I could hit the lane either way out or way in. So I had two lines, what I call a bailout angle. I figured if I got in trouble,
what?
a bailout. In other
A
words,
bailout
you
angle.
get in trouble in one, you bail out to the other
You
one.
bail out the other. You didn't bail very well.
I
You
didn't
bailed
bail.
right back, didn't you?
Right, so then I went back out.
You promised us a little 705 this week. You know that. I didn't want to say anything.
Well, I understood that I was going to get to bowl 4 games.
You did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a great competitor, George Howard. From Detroit. Pat Patterson. Patrick, you won your last match by 1 pin. This one by a few more. 649. You have 1249. You're now in the second spot along with Dave Sutar. Last year, if I recall, at the end of 6 games, you had a total of something like 1,419 pins in the Northbrook, Illinois
Just a little
series.
bit more, Fred.
A little
yeah.
bit more. You don't think your 1249 has much of a chance?
Not very much, no. It's got about as much chance as me shooting a hole-in-one the next time I play
Is
golf.
that right? Yeah, you have about as much chance as Al Stacy, our cameraman up there, shooting a hole-in-one, and you had a chance to
Yes,
see that one the other day.
I watched him shoot that hole-in-one. It was a
Isn't that
beautiful
nice?
shot.
And you and I were partners.
Mhm,
So
and
it
we
didn't
lost.
help us a bit. Playing with Sid Goltz, the producer, and a hole-in-one, this works out not so good for the hired help.
Well, Fred, it never hurts you when you play with the producer, though.
Yeah, I know. We have to do that occasionally. Now, Pat, speaking of bowling again, you don't figure your 1249 has a chance. You want to go home, or you want to stay around here and see if it stands?
Well, I'm going to stay till tomorrow morning, but I think the next match will probably see it knocked off. Dick Weber
you
will
may-
be on next week,
you-
and
You may be here quite a few weeks, really, because Dick Weber's got a big job. He didn't get too good of a start the first time.
well, I think I'll go home tomorrow morning, and I think Dick's coming down next week around Wednesday, so I'll come down with him just to spend a little time. And
Very good.
Good one.
He's your teammate. Pat, I like to talk about a lane that has, if I may use the phrase, really buffaloed our entire 24 bowlers down here. Now, you've been out here twice. You bowled 2 matches. You've had your problems along with the rest of them. What have you got to say for this?
Well, Fred, it seemed to me like my trouble on this lane here, 28, was all in my first step.
First step.
Yeah, the one I took when I got out of the car and came in here to bowl on it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Pat Patterson, see you again. We got some real comedians in this outfit, I'll tell you. Don't go away. We'll be right back with some fashion notes for you ladies. Now, for the ladies, we have a fashion consultant here in Winston-Salem, Edie Ames. Edie?
Thank you, Fred. This week we want to show you some bowling fashions for the ladies. Miss Georgette DeRosa has on a Liberty of London print shirt and full-fashion cardigan sweater in brown. Her skirt is a shorty one, especially for bowling. Her shoes are black and tan, and she also has the bag to match. Thank you, Georgette. Isn't she lovely? And now, my very beautiful wool flannel slim skirt has the side pocket and the button down front. With the 2 little buttons tucked away, you can't really see them, can you? And it has this little pleat that allows for a lot of good bowling. And now, I have said something to you about these fashions, and they are the newest thing in bowling. So see you at your favorite bowling center.
Thank you very much, Edie.
You're
Drop in
welcome.
again. Edie
Thank
Ames,
you.
ladies and gentlemen. Well, try to join us again next week. We'll have another good one for you. It'll be Dick Weber from St. Louis, Vern Downing from Fresno, California. Repeating the scores this week. For George Howard, it was 561. Pat Patterson, a 649, a big finish of 246. And that puts Patterson in the number 2 spot with 12.49 for his 6 games. It's Dave Sutar with 12.67. Now Pat Patterson second with 12.49. Until next week, Fred Wolf saying just keep 'em bowling out there. Matching shirts and slacks used on championship bowling by King Louie. Championship bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce championship bowling.